Hello everybody. In this video, you will be learning about the var and dynamic keywords in C#. So the agenda of my video will be understanding about the differences between the var keyword and the dynamic keyword. So let's get started. First, I'm going to talk about the var keyword. So basically, the var is a statically typed variable. The data type of these variables are checked at compile time. This is done based on the type value these variables are initialized with. For example, here I'm declaring a var variable and assigning it the value of Akshat. And then I'm declaring an integer variable. And then I'm typing in name plus 5. This is a non-numeric value, so that cannot be done. And we get an error at compile time itself. So var variables should be initialized at the time of declaration itself, or else there will be a compile time error. That is, implicitly typed local variables must be initialized. So here's an example. What I'm doing here is I'm declaring a var variable and not assigning any value to it. So there is an error. Okay, so the var keyword does not allow the type of value assigned to it to be changed after it's assigned to. For example, if we assign an integer value to a var variable, then we cannot assign a string value to it. So basically, this is because on assigning the integer value, thereafter the var variable will be treated as an integer type. So after that, no other type of value can be assigned to the var variable. For example, here I'm declaring a var and assigning it a var variable and assigning it the value of 21. And then in the next line, I'm typing in this var variable equals a non-numeric value, that is Akshat. So we come across a compile time error. Okay, so the var variables cannot be used for property or return values from a method. They can only be used as a local variable inside a method. I'll show you that in the Visual Studio demo. Okay, so we're going to talk about the dynamic keyword. So the dynamic variables are dynamically typed variables. This means that their type is checked at runtime and not the compile time as it is for the var type. So let's look at an example. Here I'm declaring a dynamic variable and assigning it the value of Akshat. Then I'm declaring an integer and then I'm typing in name, that is our dynamic variable's name, plus 5. You can see that we don't get any error at compile time, but there's gonna be an error at runtime. I'll show you that in the Visual Studio demo. So in the case of the dynamic type variables, it's not compulsory to initialize them when declared, not like the var variable. So let's look at an example. Here I'm just declaring a dynamic variable, that is I, and not kind of assigning any value to it. So there's no error. Okay, so the dynamic keyword allows the type of value to be changed after it's assigned to. So not like the var keyword. So for example, if we assign an integer value to a dynamic type variable, then we can easily assign a string value to it after that. So why is this because? This is because at runtime, the value of the variable is first considered as an integer too, and when its value is changed, it's considered to be a string type. For example, here I'm declaring a dynamic variable and assigning it the value of 21. And then in the next line, I'm typing in this dynamic variable has the value of Akshat. So there is no error. Okay, So the dynamic variables can be used to create properties or return values from a function, not like for the var keyword. So I'll show you that in the Visual Studio demo. Now let's see all of these concepts in action in Visual Studio. So I'm going to fire up Visual Studio. Okay, so here I've fired up Visual Studio and I've created a console application. So here first I'm going to declare a var variable. So var name, I'm going to name this name, semicolon. So we don't assign any value to it, so you can see that there's an error, a compile time error. It says that implicitly typed variables must be initialized. So if we do the same thing by using a dynamic variable, then we're not going to get any error. Okay, so now I'm going to make this back to a var variable, and then I'm going to assign this the value of 21, an integer value. And then in the next line, I'm going to type in name equal to a string value. Function. Semicolon. So you can see that when I hover my mouse over this variable, it's already set to an integer. You can see that here, that is int name. Okay, so I've already talked about that in my PowerPoint presentation. Now I'm going to just remove this var and make this to a dynamic. So you can see that we don't get any error. Now I'm going to type in two console.writeLine methods. That'll be for printing on the console the value of name. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and run my program. So I'm going to press Ctrl plus F5. So first the value of our variable is 21 and then it's been changed to auction. That is because first to this dynamic variable we are assigning in the value of 21. Then we're assigning that same dynamic variable, we're making a modification in its value and assigning it the value of auction. So yeah. Now let's move on to the next example. So I'm just going to remove these lines of code. So this dynamic name equal to, instead of 21, I'm going to type in auction. Okay, and then here I'm going to declare an integer. This is just for your understanding about when the values of dynamic and var are checked. So int, let's see, I'm just going to name this I equal to name plus 5, semicolon. So you can see that we get no error at compile time. But if we run our program, we're going to get an error. So I'm going to go ahead and run our program. So it says me that there is an unhandled exception. It says that cannot implicitly convert type string to integer. So I'm just going to close this off. And if we do the same thing with a var keyword, we'll get an error at compile time itself, not like for the dynamic keyword. So let's check out what's the error. So the same error is at compile time instead of runtime. So it says that cannot implicitly convert type string to integer. Okay, so now I'm going to try to declare global var variable. So let's check this. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that here. You can see that we get an error. So if we do the same thing by using a dynamic keyword, we don't get any error. So now I'm going to show you, that means that we cannot declare a var as a global variable, but we can declare a dynamic variable globally. Okay, so next I'm going to show you something more. That is, we can use a dynamic type variable for the return type of a method for the parameter for a method or for properties. But we cannot do the same with a var keyword. So here I'm gonna declare one more method. So public, I'm gonna name this, the return type. First, I'm gonna show you about how you can do this with the dynamic keyword. So public dynamic, and I'm gonna name this test. Okay, then I'm gonna type in the parameters. So here too, I'm gonna use the dynamic keyword, and I'm gonna name this param1. Okay, then I'm gonna start up a curly bracket, and then here, so you can see that there's an error that's not all code paths return a value. So to solve this error, I'm gonna type in return object. So we're returning a string value. So this return type of this method is gonna be a string, and even this parameter for our method is gonna be a string. So now, the return type of the method is gonna be string, but this parameter, it's gonna be its kind of data type is gonna be what we assign it in the calling class. So now, if we make this dynamic to var, let's see what happens. So we get an error. So that has proven that we cannot use a var keyword for the return type of the method. So now let's make this too as a var. So here too we get an error. So that has also proven that we cannot use that even for the method parameter or the method parameter. Okay, so now we're gonna make this. We're gonna create a property. So I'm gonna use the prop keyword and click tab. So here instead of int, I'm gonna make this as dynamic. Yeah, and there's no error. And if we try to make this same as a var, then we're gonna get an error. So this is proven that we cannot use the var keyword for even a property, but you can use the dynamic keyword. So now let's recap. Why did we use the var keyword and the dynamic keyword? So we use the var keyword as a local declaration within a function, and it cannot be used as the return types for a method, parameters for a method, or for properties. Okay, so it can only be used for local variable declaration within a function. Now let's recap about what we learned about the dynamic keyword. So the dynamic keyword can be used either for global variables or local variables. So the dynamic keyword can be used for the return types for a method, parameters, and method parameters, and for properties. Okay, so we use the dynamic keyword whenever we don't know what data type is gonna come. Okay, I hope you understood about the dynamic and var keywords in C#. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to like and share this video. Please subscribe to my channel for more. Goodbye till the next video.